Jacobo Grinberg was a renowned neuroscientist from Mexico who founded the National Institute for the Study of Consciousness at the Anahuac University. He then went on to investigate claims of witchcraft, shamanism, hologram, telepathy, etc., and would debunk all of his subjects using the scientific method and scientific rigor, or would try to debunk. Like most men of science, or in the age of reason, these claims all seem suspect and filled with people trying to scam or fraud their way out of desperate people's money. However, during these attempts to discredit these practices, he uncovered a thread that intrigued him. Eventually, he met someone who changed his view on everything and led for him to conclude that there was a whole lot more to reality than he had ever thought. And he believed we might be able to change it with our mind. And then just after his discoveries, he vanished, never to be seen again. Dr. Grinberg studied psychology at UNAM and then went on to study psychophysiology, which is a branch of psychology dealing with physiological processes, at the Brain Research Institute. He then obtained a doctorate where he focused on the electrophysiological effects of geometric stimuli in the human brain. He went on to do further research at INPEC, the institute he founded. Over time, his experiments and research began to shift to a more pseudoscience aspects where superstition and woo-woo reigned supreme. This is when he developed deep into telepathy, extraocular vision, witchcraft, meditation, and shamanism. It was shamanism which really helped shape his curiosity into this thread that he kept finding and pulling at. A thread of underlying truth under all the charlatans and quackery. Something that he kept finding but couldn't make sense of completely. He spent a number of years with the most recognized shaman specialist in Mexico, a shaman named Barbara Guerrero, who is known as Pachita. Pachita was quite the woman. She once participated in the Mexican Revolution, and after that she would work various jobs, moved around quite a bit until finally residing in the state of Mexico. It is here that she got her fame and notoriety due to her incredible and seemingly impossible healing powers. Grinberg put his reputation as a scientist in danger when he tried to use the scientific method in shamanistic studies. He combined two in his professional work, always trying to understand the magic world. Grinberg attempted to change the way that relationships between science and consciousness is understood. His work was rejected by fellow scientists as psi assumptions, the premise that any deviation from chance represents a case of telepathy. But his curiosity ran deep, and it all stemmed from when he was 12. It was then he began taking an interest in the human brain when his mother passed away due to a stroke. From there, he went on to have a curiosity and an intellectual capacity that some compared only to Einstein. When Grinberg first arrived at Pachita's house, she had no idea he was coming, and yet he was greeted from a voice coming from the back of the house, saying, "Jacobo, hurry up! Where are you coming so late? I was waiting for you," which caught Grinberg by surprise, to be sure. With his time with Pachita, he was able to watch her perform medical and healing practices. She would perform surgeries in her own house and used only a hunting knife to open a surgical incision on someone. She would then use it to extract damaged or diseased organs. She would replace the organs with ones that it is claimed she would materialize, which she would then put into the patient. She would then wave a hand over the wound and it would close without leaving a mark. She only asked the patients for bandages, a sheet, and some alcohol. It is also said that she would give blood transfusions with blood that flowed from her mouth. In his book that recounts his experiences with Pachita, he said that she would lose consciousness of the present while performing surgeries or cures. It is said that she later read his book and she claimed she didn't really know what was going on and that she doesn't remember doing any of that. But she did go on to say that when she performed these services, the spirit of Cuauhtémoc, who was the last Aztec emperor from 1520, would possess her. She even called him brother and attributed the ability and method of healing from him. However, for Grinberg, this had a deeper meaning. He began to connect consciousness to the information matrix, which high energetic vibrations allowed significant modifications of reality to merge. A thing that some might say is magic. If you have dabbled or looked into witchcraft or ritualistic magic, then you will see the connection here. A lot of magic is impressing a part of your brain, the subconscious, with spells or rituals, so that in these fields, the belief is, the subconscious carries forth the actual creation of that which you're trying to impress upon it. The entire ritual is meant to recondition your subconscious to carry out your will or desire, rather than one you are programmed with from birth. But people, media and society, etc. This, of course, is a link that Grinberg was seeing. That is, it is possible that such a thing could be happening here, that on some level our thoughts may be able to alter our perceived reality. Pachita would change her personality. Her connection with the so-called hologram, she acquired a purer character in which conventions of acting are stripped of social influence, just as it is with meditation. There was other modifications of reality he witnessed, which consisted of changing the weather at will, eradicating drought in a town and making it rain until the surrounding rivers overflowed. Pachita never once charged for her work or her cures, and always remained selective about the people who could study or analyze her work. It was this time that Grinberg spent with Pachita that he developed what he called syntergetic theory. Syntergetic theory is a theory that postulates that the human brain is able to create hyper-complex field of interactions that are the result of the activation of all its neuronal elements. The interaction matrix is called the neuronal field. In this theory, experience is considered as the interaction between the neuronal field and energetic or syntergetic organization of space. Grinberg's syntergetic theory is another theory that states that there is a continuous space of energy, and the common human can only perceive a part of it. The result of this process is what everyone understands as reality. As space-time distortion, Grinberg-Zellerbaum postulates that the neuronal field produces a distortion in the basic time-space structure. Our perceptual experience is essentially the perception of this distortion. In other words, our conscious reality arises from the way our brain interacts with this altered space-time. Complex multidimensional interactions. Consciousness emerges from the intricate interplay between the neuronal field and the structure of space. This interaction initiates an energetic field that gives rise to conscious experience. Imagine that space is like a giant hologram, full of hidden possibilities that can become anything we see in the world. The things that pop out of the hologram. The secret code behind the hologram is what Grinberg calls the lattice, and it's where the magic happens. Our brains are like antennas that tune into the lattice and make sense of it. They turn the code into what we experience in reality, colors, shapes, smells, and so on. But reality is not what's out there, it's what's in here, the brain. It's the result of super fast calculations that our brains do without us knowing. Reality is a creation of our minds, and it's as real as we are. What we feel with our senses is the final product of our mind, and it becomes real when we are aware of it. But it's not made of matter, it's made of consciousness. Our minds shape the lattice and create our own experiences. The lattice itself has no feelings or sensations until we interact with it and bend it to our will. Now, these findings were all before the holographic universe theory really started to gain momentum and acceptance. And in 1994, the seminal paper, The Einstein-Podolsky-Rosen Paradox in the Brain, The Transferred Potential, was published, in which it studied the brain to verify if the brain has a macroscopic quantum component to it. Of course, this is the same year when Dr. Grinberg mysteriously disappeared forever. On December 12th, 1994, his family prepared a party for him to celebrate his 48th birthday. While the family waited and waited and waited, the doctor never showed up. The family wasn't immediately concerned, as it was common for him to suddenly and spontaneously go on travels or just not answer his phone for days. So they didn't get very suspicious right away. He also said that he was planning a trip to India at the end of that year, so the family assumed he had left. However, he never ended up turning up anywhere, and there are some rumors and theories as to what happened to the man who may have discovered the Matrix. The last person to see Grinberg claimed that he was taken away by two people dressed in suits, that after that no one had seen or heard from him again. The last trace of him occurred on December 8th, 1994 at a gas station. Because of his without a trace and work within consciousness and a holographic universe principle, many people claim that he was abducted by aliens due to him being an enlightened human specimen. One of the reasons this theory even gets passed around is that the CIA revealed secret documents online about UFOs, and it came to light that they had been investigating Jacobo Grinberg, in which he apparently signed in 2010, suggesting he may be alive somewhere that the US government knew about. But there isn't much that we could find that would point to anything, just as the authorities didn't at the time. The man simply disappeared without a trace, and no one has ever heard from him or uncovered him anywhere since. Of course, when someone is on the verge of possibly discovering something that may shake the foundations of the very fabric of reality, and then suddenly disappears, it adds a certain gravitas to what his work was about. Was he closer to proving that the human mind can change or alter reality in some way, much like magic or the laws of assumption or attraction suggest? Would he be the one who could scientifically approve it? Hard to say. We may never know, as it's unlikely he will ever turn up in public. However, what we can do is dabble ourselves, and well, if you manage to change reality, you might want to keep it to yourself. Okay, now it's time for you to let me know what you think. Was he taken out because he knew too much, or did some accident befall him and was just never found? Let me know in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. It really helps out a small channel like this one. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.